And one of the things that I was thinking about is that the Canon C50 is a really nice camera. I'm so excited for the folks that shoot Canon to have that body style. I have the FX30 and absolutely love that body style. And so for those of you that shoot Canon, I think that camera is going to be great for you. Now, I wanted to talk about the Canon C50 versus what I'm shooting on right now, which is the Blackmagic Cinema 6K. And the reason I wanted to talk about that is because I don't think it's really a race in order for there to be new technology on the market. I think the real race is whether or not Blackmagic is able to get really good autofocus. And I think that's the only reason that Blackmagic isn't, you know, at one of the in the top 3, right? And it's because their workflow is great. The look of the Blackmagic Cinema cameras are phenomenal. People are literally still using the Blackmagic Pocket 4K in 2025, and that's under $1,000. We'll talk about price on this camera, the 6K L-mount full frame, and we'll talk about the price of the C50 here in a second. So I just want to go over like what's the top 5 specs for the C50, what's the top 5 specs for the Blackmagic Cinema 6K. And shout out to Adorama. I am shooting this on the 18mm DZO Vespid 2 Cine lens, and I have the full kit. I'm going to be doing a bunch of videos on this just so you can kind of see what they're capable of. But while I'm sitting here waiting for my kid to finish his basketball training, I figured I'd get a video out the way. So top 5 specs for the Canon EOS C50. It's 7K full frame, or I don't even know if it's down sample, but it's an open gate 3x2 sensor, and it's a new sensor. And based on some of the videos that I saw today, some of the footage looks really good, and some of the footage is like, I still don't think it's better than the FX3, and that could be because of 32 megapixels versus 12 megapixels, etc. for a video-centric camera. But that one's a hybrid camera as well, which is interesting because they're calling it a cinema camera, and people aren't jumping on them for it. But again, I'm super excited about that, so I didn't mean that as like a negative comment. From there, dual base ISO at 800 and 6400 and Canon Log 2. Another thing is that it's only open gate for 7K, so I really won't touch that today because I haven't touched the camera, and whether or not that means anything to you, it may not. High frame rate, raw recording, it's 7K up to 60 frames per second, which is freaking dope. It says 4K up to 120 frames per second. I heard in the past that there is a slight crop, like during the rumor mill and things like that. They didn't talk about that today, but there's also a crop on the R50, and they don't talk about the crop on 4K 60 on that in Canon's, you know, actual media that's out there. So I don't know if it is or not. We'll see once it gets in the hands of the reviewers. No one mentioned that today, but it was kind of like an embargo day, so we haven't seen like that objective type review yet. Dual pixel CMOS autofocus 2 with subject detection. That is where Blackmagic is not able to keep up with the market. Even though it's the best, it's one of the best, I won't say it's the best, but it is one of the best pictures that you can get for a camera. It just can't keep up with mass usage because there's no autofocus. And it took me 5 years with my Sony cameras before I was brave enough to try a manual focus lens and things like that consistently. Here we are, and I'm absolutely loving it. But for mass adoption, you kind of need that autofocus. Workflow friendly, features simultaneous 2K crop recording for vertical square outputs, CF Express B and SD dual cards, etc. So let's talk about the top 5 specs of the Blackmagic Cinema 6K. Full frame sensor at 6K, and it's 36 frames per second with 13 stops of dynamic range, and I believe the Canon is 15 stops, so it does beat it there. But again, that picture just didn't look good, and you know, Blackmagic is really like specific in their dynamic range. They don't fluff, and so I don't know yet till we get it measured. We need a Gerald Undone video to see if it's actually 15 stops. And then this records in simultaneous RAW. It also can record out to H.264, like out, etc. As far as the price range, $38.99 for the Canon C50, $3,089 for the Blackmagic Cinema 6K, but I've seen that at all the way down to like $1,500 doing NAB. And so I've seen that price kind of drop to that point. One second, my son's getting in the truck. Come on. So I've seen that price all the way down to $1,500 at NAB or B&H when they did the sale recently. So we'll see, you know, how that kind of pans out. Mine, it's consistently around $2,800, so we'll see. But how are they similar? So they're both full frame sensors and open gate capable. One is 7K, and it's only open gate in the 7K, whereas in the Blackmagic, it's open gate all the way through. And so there's that. Dual ISO design. So the C50 is 800 and 6400, and the Blackmagic is 400 and 3200. Now it is different because the way that Blackmagic does their dual ISO is different than kind of like Sony, right, where it's right on the numbers. Blackmagic kind of has a range. High frame rate recording, whereas this is where the C50 definitely beats it with 7K 60, whereas the Blackmagic does 6K 36. Professional audio, I think Blackmagic has it beat internally because it has the 2 XLR inputs, the mini XLR inputs, whereas the C50 you have to have kind of like the handle. And again, this isn't a deep dive because I haven't actually touched it, so I don't actually know exactly what that looks like, and I didn't even watch a bunch of videos. I'm just kind of going off of the specs, right? Workflow and proxy features. Each camera records RAW. Each of them can create proxies and all of those different things. So it's very similar to the workflow. However, Blackmagic I think has it beat because it has the DaVinci Resolve workflow, and Blackmagic RAW is just really easy to color grade. In fact, if you're a new user, I almost recommend trying to color grade on Blackmagic RAW before you try something like an S-Log3 Sony or a C-Log over at Canon. Blackmagic just makes it really easy. And so I guess my conversation on this camera is whether or not well, let me say it this way. The C50 is definitely an amazing camera, and I'm super excited for what that offers for the Canon users. They've been waiting for a body like that, but it's just super interesting that Blackmagic is kind of over here to the side, and the picture is really good, and it is really an cult following. And when I started using my Blackmagic cameras, the Pixis 6K and the Cinema 6K, I definitely understand. Like this is my favorite look. It's my favorite workflow from start to finish. Just without the autofocus, it just isn't as practical. So I'm super interested to see what people think. And also let me know what you think about this vlog setup from the Blackmagic Cinema 6K and the DZO Vespit Prime 2 Cine lenses sitting here in my car. I wanted to try this out, see if it was practical, and I got a really crazy setup. So I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. As always, stay cozy in that crazy world, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.